Hello and welcome to Red Dead Redemption Part 5. And in this part, well, we'll get to herd some cattle. But don't go anywhere, it's actually more fun than it sounds. I'm serious, actually. Now, it's a fairly slow-paced mission, but we get a slow-paced cutscene here, and yeah, there's not really much to say here, except that it's a fairly serious one, in terms of tone, and a fairly somber one. And it's where we get a great insight into John Marston's background and his motivations. A man trying to desperately escape his past. Now, I said before that this game has a good balance between light and dark, and it really does. Like in the previous mission, we were surrounded by two southern stereotypes, Eli and the other guy. And now this one, we're getting a serious moment here, and I like that actually. It's a good balance between the two, and it's also a good attempt at actually telling a story. And it's in terms of a western, this is actually a good western thing. I guess it's hard to compare a film to a game, but I guess just by going the characters and story. Yeah, I do really like this, actually.
Now, I don't suppose any of this is very interesting to you, but I hope it explains why I wasn't so eager to talk about it.
No, I do understand. I had no idea.
Yeah, see, an issue which comes up later on a lot is the fact that John here, he's our hero, our protagonist, but he did used to ride with Bill Williamson. And yeah, they're a nasty group of people, and it makes you wonder how nasty John was, and if even he does deserve redemption, because the people we shoot, they don't get redemption; they get a bullet through the head. So it's sort of a tragic story here, and we see here John is explaining about his past, and you do wonder. Because he didn't have any parents, and he just essentially fell into the gang, and the gang became his family. And you do wonder if he had much choice. Well, I guess he did, but put it this way: if you're born into an environment, the good chances are you're probably just going to fall into it anyway.
She was a prostitute, and he was her. Well,
This was before the word pimp was invented. So I guess you could describe John as a tragic hero, if you're being generous.
My word. What a difficult life
It's almost as if people aren't simple as you think they are. It's almost as if people are complicated, and they have contradictory elements within them.
But you killed people.
Sure. And I've suffered for it. And that's the life I left, or tried to leave. Said too much, Bonnie. I'm an uneducated.
Because honestly, if we weren't following John, we would probably think he was a villain. Yeah, and despite the fact that he was trying to run away from his crimes, we might think, well, the people you killed don't get a chance to redeem themselves.
Is a truly beautiful thing, Mr. Marston.
If we weren't, if John wasn't our hero, we might think, oh,
You help me?
yeah, maybe he does deserve death,
I can try.
like the others. But
No.
I'll give him this: that they can definitely,
I need an extra
they've given us a really interesting, well-rounded character here.
Sure. Point me in the right direction.
Ah yes, now to the gameplay mission. Honestly, I'm really not that much of a philosopher, so unfortunately, maybe I can't really give you that too much insight into right and wrong.
Right. Are you ready to learn
Yep,
my
herding
lesson,
cows.
pal?
Now you'll see here it's something we do on a horse, and it's essentially we sort of have to position the horse around the herd to sort of steer them where we want them to go. And yeah, it can be a fairly slow mission because, well, you're forced to move at the same rate as the cattle does. Oh, and it's getting dark too.
I ain't so sure about that, but thank you.
Now these sort of cattle missions here, I guess, yeah, again, like how we play different roles, like the gunslinger or the bandit. In this case, we're playing the role of a rancher. which is actually, like we just heard, John's true calling, or at least, you know, it's what he wants to be. He just wants to settle down and raise cattle and leave his life behind him. You can see, now again, pressing R1 stops the horse dead, and that's essentially the way I play this sort of cattle thing. Just position yourself behind them where you want them to go, and you just stay still. And usually they'll follow the direction you want them to go. Now, occasionally we might see in a bit the cattle just sort of break up and you get stragglers. Now, it is possible to complete these missions without getting the entire herd, but you know, again, it's, you know, these cows are important. Damn it, it's our livelihood. So naturally, I do want to get all the, you know, the whole herd if I can. Oh, the shadows are really nice. You have the sunset here, the orange lights, the huge shadows of the trees, of course. It's really atmospheric and really well done. It really is a beautiful game. There we go, I've led them to the other herd, which is the yellow spot. And now we have an even bigger herd to herd. Just herding the herd. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep them doggies rolling. Keep da 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 da. And I forgot the lyrics. Da 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 da. With my lady by my side. Hear them up, move them in, hear them up, move them in, rawhide. I remember watching that show as a kid. Yeah, they even showed like if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Rawhide. It was an old black and white Western TV show. I guess when the area, during the era of when Westerns practically ruled the world and everything was Western. But yeah, it was an old black and white TV show about cowboys, as we would call them. So, yeah, and I don't remember watching it properly. In fact, that's all I remember, the Rawhide theme song.
Thank you, Miss McFarland.
I'll see you later. I have work to do back at the ranch.
Huh. That was a short mission, but yep, the first thing I'm going to do now is head back to the ranch and start the next mission. But, yep, unfortunately I had to wait a while. Because, yeah, some missions depend on what time of day when you encounter them.
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine.
So we're skipping ahead to the next one.
Father. John Marston, this is my father, Drew McFarland.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Marston. Please. So, my daughter informs me...
Wild horses and tamed passions.
You're on some secret mission to remove some desires.
Now, what's interesting about this conversation here is they sort of go into the old fantasy of the Old West, or the romanticised version. Because in some ways it does sum up American ideals, or I guess the American idea of freedom. I'm not professional, I'm sort of just wondering here. But, well, what I mean is the idea is that, like this guy says here, he set up a ranch himself. You know, he's a self-made man. Came to this country and set up his own business, made himself, made it a success. It's sort of the American ideal of enterprise and the pursuit of happiness. And the idea that you know, if you want something, you work hard for it.
But I've never once doubted my life here.
Sort of very old-fashioned ideals. But not necessarily irrelevant to our way of life, I guess.
Murder and control people, then I start to worry.
And yeah, I guess in some ways the herd does represent that ideal well. You know, you have this herd of cattle, and it's your herd of cattle, and you have to take care of it and guide them. And it's just you against the elements.
Well, you're a brave man.
Yep, the Old West, where men were men, and women were also men.
Tell your friends out east that we don't want to live like that out here.
And I guess this goes into the idea of civilization as well. That, you know, having the government interfere with your life isn't necessarily a good thing.
Trust me, sir. I agree with you.
Good. insult you any further. Come on, Bonnie, we got things to do.
The old struggle of free freedom of enterprise and big government.
What is?
Breaking in horses. Come on. I hear you're
Ooh, a
pretty
horse
decent
riding
rider.
mission.
For a city dweller, that is.
Now another mechanic we'll see here is, yeah, breaking horses. Oh, and we also get the lasso item. Pretty effective. Now, of course, like I said, you can use this to herd cattle, to herd horses, and also capture bandits. That's right, you can even lasso people. And some missions you have to take some people alive, so at that point the lasso becomes quite necessary. Mr. McFarlane, I've heard you got a new movie coming out. A thousand Ways to Die in the West.
Let's go.
Now, as I said before, different horses have different attributes. So breaking in wild horses is usually the only way you can get the better horses during the later part of the game. Now, to talk about the McFarlane family here for a second, they actually have a really quite tragic story. For a start, Bonnie has 6 brothers, and 5 of them are dead. Yeah, speaking of which, there's no mention of the mother, but I'm thinking after 7 childbirths, she probably died from one of them. Sad to say, but yeah, that's what happens without modern medicine. And speaking of which, one of these brothers is still alive, and he's a big man in the city, uptown, I guess. And yeah, I guess he should be looking after the ranch, but honestly, after his 5 other brothers have died, I really don't blame him for staying away. Yeah, honestly, if I lived in this world, I would probably get away from the Wild West as soon as I could. I know, here comes horse breaking. You sort of use the lasso like you would use a weapon. Aim it, shoot, and sort of hold on to it. I know, here comes the horse breaking part. You get on it, and you balance left and right. This kind of reminds me of a Tony Hawk game, where you have to balance left and right on rails. I really like this though. Again, it's like being a cowboy, it lets you do all the things you see in the movies. Yeehaw, boy, yeehaw. Oh, this horse breaking thing does go on for a while. But honestly, it's not too hard. I think I've only messed it up once. And of course, they just throw you off it. Okay, that's a good point. This is actually John Mostyn actually being a cowboy, doing some actual ranching work. But it's not over yet. We have a few more horses to collect. And wild horses, they appear on the world map every so often. And yeah, like I said, there are some especially good ones you can find, which are rare. But like saying that, I actually had to use a guide to find out which horses are the best and where to find them. And I think that's just because, yeah, when you have a horse, there's no way of checking its stats. So, unless you're good at like measuring speed as you ride a horse, there's no way of telling which one's the better ones and which ones are the worst ones. And obviously, as you play through the story, your horses get upgraded through certain events anyway. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I say this is like a sandbox game, which I guess technically it is, but again, usually the best way to unlock all the good stuff is actually to go through the story. Which I'm not sure how I feel. I mean, it's a good story to go through, but say if you don't want to play the story, you just want to do what you like. You find out you can't because you need to play the story to access areas, to access weapons and stuff. But then again, you could just do it post-game. Oh boy, and it's getting dark outside. I really don't like doing missions at night. Just for the simple fact that it's harder to see. Just, you know, that simple.
It's no wonder you look so tired then.
Some deck must be shy of Joker, Miss McFarlane.
Well, I was going to say, in the Old West, an old term which they used to use was a dude ranch. Which sounds funny with modern lingos. Dude, this is our ranch, yo. So that, you know, that anachronism always made me chuckle a bit.
Well done, Mr. Marston. These are
But
fine
I'm going to look at what a dude actually means.
Hey, Bonnie. Amos
You know,
was
the
saying
old-fashioned
horses
term.
spotted somewhere outside of Armadillo.
Definition of one.
Let's go,
I
Mr.
man,
Marston.
I guy.
We can really do
Often
with
as a
those
form of
horses.
address. Yeah, that's it. And it's a German word. So,
We can track down that other
guess that
pair of
makes
horses.
sense.
You never did tell me why you were
In fact,
never
I'm looking up
married.
now if the word
Aside
Dude
from the
Meister
snobbery, that
is
is.
an actual
I'm just
is an actual
surprised, that's
surname.
all. You must have been
Because I
quite
remember in
gay.
Scrubs, that sitcom, there was a character called Dude Meister.
No, that's not what I mean.
I'm sorry, your name
I'm
doesn't lend
attached
well
to
to a,
it,
to
that's
a
all I'm
nickname.
saying.
But my surname is Dude
Here
Meister.
and there. A ranch in the middle of Hennigan's Stead ain't really the place to find a husband. Amos, he's a little, well, you know, countrified.
Where'd you get your
Oh,
hair?
oh, it is an actual name. Well, there you go.
From a couple of cheap governesses Pa hired to save us
But
from
anyway,
being
at least at the end of
savages.
this mission we get a new
Talk
horse, a
about
sort of
wanting
stallion.
cattle and chickens sometimes, that's all.
Now, coming up, we have to do this weird mechanic where we have to herd horses, which is a bit more fiddly than herding cattle. Although on the bright side, herding horses rarely comes up in the game. In fact, I think this is like the only time. Now, if you want to, you can do herding cattle and horse breaking as optional side quests, for lack of a better term. But I don't. Yeah, it is okay to do as part of a story, but I'm not going to go out of my way to herd cattle. Now, I guess a bit of trivia about this mission is that you don't actually have to herd the cattle, the whole herd, you just have to herd the stallion at the front. Now, about sticking to the path, something I didn't mention before is that you can get attacked by wild animals. Especially in this area, you can sometimes be attacked by coyotes, and they actually will pull you off the horse. Oh, not to mention the mountain lions. They can just pounce you and kill you in 1 or 2 hits. It can actually be quite frustrating when this lion just pounces on you out of nowhere. Come on, get along, little doggy.
Let's go. Move it.
Oh, they're going all over the place. And we're walking, and we're walking, and we're walking.
Stay together, you dumb animals. Come on.
There you go, just checking the map here. Oh, look at them all, they're all over the place. It's like herding toddlers.
Move. Let's go.
Except you can't lure these guys away with sweets. That, I didn't mean that the way it sounded. Ugh. Now you see, when playing this mission, I didn't realise that you only had to herd the stallion. Because that would have saved me some time. Yeah, see, there's always one horse which runs off to the one side, doesn't it? Come on. Come on, boy. Come on, boy. Come on. I can barely whistle, if you haven't noticed.
Easy up now.
There we go. See, isn't it nice to be part of a group? Come on, just get in the canyon. Oh, finally. Okay, you know, I'm overreacting. It's not as frustrating as I make out. But I will say this, even though it's somewhat enjoyable, yeah, I'm glad this isn't something we do a lot during the game.
Looks like we got the lot of them.
Oh, dude, you're supposed to balance left and right.
Animals they are. Hey, the stallion's getting away. Chase him down and bring him back.
There we go, switch to the lasso. On the bright side, once we tame this rebel, and our mission is soon over with.
Come on. Come on.
You're a feisty one, aren't you? I'm going to call you Steve. Get back here, Steve. Oh, 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 you... Yeah, bloody... Oh, see, my current horse is jealous. He's deliberately trying to stop our relationship by getting in the way. I'm losing track of him here. Come on, second time's a charm.
Let's go.
Well, I like this horse. It's a lovely cream colour. I know that's superficial, but yeah, there you go.
Come on. Come on. Nearly got you. Come on. Come on. Come on.
And again, just doing the same thing, balancing. Ugh.
I got you now.
Just horsing around. Oh, you'll have to excuse me if I'm a bit rough. I'm feeling a little hoarse.
You're mine now.
I'm riding a horse. I've run out of puns.
That wasn't so bad.
Alright, I've got this this individual under wraps. Yeah, you'll conform to my will. You're my horse now. Come along, Stephen. Alright, I call this horse Stephen. What's funny is that the horses don't have genders. They have no genitalia.
Thanks for
Yes, I bothered to find that out.
We got some.
Because I actually wanted to give a nickname to a horse
You know,
for the playthrough, and I wanted to find out the horse's gender. So I actually tried to look up the horse's skirt with a camera. And nope, they don't have genitalia. I guess it saves on the processing when you don't have to render the horse's big swaying genitalia.